today we're going to talk about how we can prepare them, right, to make that big step. So this evening we have two speakers along with myself. So I'm Mr. Hugh here, and I'm the curriculum manager. We also have Miss Jacqueline and Miss Chrisanne. Okay, and both of them have been with the Eton Academy for some time now, and they have lots of experience dealing with children of that age, K2, primary one. So they are the right people to talk to when it comes to preparing them for primary one. Yeah. Yeah, so this evening they're going to share lots of insights, and hopefully you can take away something that you can immediately use after this evening, right? Okay, so this evening, right, we are going to talk about a few things. Yeah. And probably these are the questions you have, as a parent, okay, with a child who's getting to primary one, okay. What challenges will my child face in primary school? How can I support my child's transition to primary school? And how can I build a strong foundation in literacy and numeracy for my child? So these are the questions we hope to address this evening, okay. But before that, maybe we can start with a poll, all right, about how ready your child is for primary one. So I'm going to launch a poll here, all right? And please answer the question that you see. Okay, so there are three options there. How ready is your child for primary one? Very ready, somewhat ready, not ready. Okay, no wrong answers, just honest answers. Okay, so let's see what the response is. Okay, based on how many we have this evening. Okay, so I see that majority is somewhat ready. Okay, maybe just wait for a bit more for everyone to get in. Mm. Okay. All right. It looks like, okay, I'm gonna end the poll right now. Okay. It looks like most are somewhat ready. So that's like 63%. All right, somewhat ready. Well, that's not too bad. I noticed very ready it's only 13%. Okay. All right. Good that you're honest about that. And not ready. Okay, so this is 25%. So I can see that somewhat and not ready, that takes the bulk of it, right? Okay, so it's good that you're here this evening because we hope to help you prepare your children for primary one. Okay, great. Thanks so much for the participation. Okay, so moving on. So today we are going to basically talk about two broad areas, okay? Non-academic readiness as well as academic readiness. Okay, so I'm going to hand the time over now to Miss Chrisanne, who's going to talk to you probably about non-academic readiness. Am I right, Miss Chrisanne? Okay,
Yep,
great.
you're right.
Over to you.
All right, so I'll just start like the whole webinar with first non-academic readiness because first, your child is going to primary one. The first thing you're thinking is he ready? Is she ready? And are they able to cope? But we also have to focus on whether they are ready emotionally, socially, physically. So I'm just going to share some of the things that you might need to consider and to think about when we send our kids, you send your kids to primary one. So the first thing that I would like to talk about would be definitely the physical aspect of like the non-academic readiness, which is, you see, from being in a preschool where the area is definitely much smaller, the schools are smaller, the classroom is smaller, and they have to transition over to like a huge primary school with many other rooms like canteen, music room, computer room, so many other areas that they can explore. That vast difference in size in the space itself can be very overwhelming, and it may be a lot for a child to actually process in that small period of time. So, I mean, many of my students tell me like when they go visit their primary school for the first time, some of them even cried by the sheer difference in size compared to their preschool. So this physical aspect is definitely something that we should take note of, and we should actually prepare them in advance. So just talking about the sheer size of the classroom itself, in preschool, there's around 20 students in a class, and in a primary school, it's around 40, 30, 35 to 40 students in a class. So that sheer size difference is very overwhelming for children to actually handle on their own. So it's good to actually prepare them and to like expose them to bigger areas and to expose them, bring them to their schools early so that they can actually observe and they can actually mentally prepare themselves before they actually attend their school there officially next year. And another aspect I would like to share about, which is the social aspect. So, like I mentioned earlier, they have new friends, they have new faces, and the number of students that they're going to, the number of friends that they're going to have will be a huge jump from what they have in preschool because they are mostly contained in their own classroom, right? But in primary school, they will be in the, for example, just in the parade square itself, they will get to see many more faces, which can be quite intimidating. New friends, new faces, new teachers all at once. So definitely encourage them to be more to speak up, to be exposed to more people around them. Simple things like just getting their own food in public. That is actually one way to prepare them socially so that they get exposed to more unfamiliar faces and they also get exposed to different people and how to interact with others as well.
And Ms.
And also,
Kristen, if I can just
yes.
add in a little more here, the idea of social and seeing lots more people in the school, it's not just people of their own age, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah, so I mean, I guess some children might not be used to seeing older children in the same building as them. So it's good
Yeah.
to prepare them, isn't it? Yeah.
Mm.
Um, yeah, one more thing. Sorry, I forgot to mention earlier. If you have any questions, please use the Q&A tab there to type in your questions. You can also tap in the webinar chat if that's what you prefer. But in any case, we will look at your questions and we'll try to answer them either live or we might have to type out an answer depending on the question you ask, of course, right? So please do that anytime during the webinar, right? Thanks a lot. So back to you, Ms. Chrisanne.
Yeah, thank you so much, Mr. Hill. So now let's talk about emotion. For young children like K2s, they have a lot of emotions in them. Okay, like just in preschool, just with at home, they have lots of emotions that they are still trying to learn how to process. They are still trying to learn how to understand their own emotions.
Yeah.
So when they head over to primary one, right, they will feel a lot of emotion at the same time. They can feel excited, they can feel anxious, they can feel scared, they can feel worried, all at the same time in a single day. And given their age, their young age, they can't really process it as well as us adults, for example. So whenever they feel this many emotions in them at the same time, right, they will not know how to cope as well. So it will be good. So sometimes you might observe that, hey, why is it that when once my child goes to primary school, they they have meltdowns, they have more meltdowns at home. Why is it that they get frustrated more? These are actually some ways that they actually express themselves and to actually show how they can't cope with how they're feeling. So, and given the fact that they're comfortable at home, it is actually a place where they will show their true emotions more because they can't process it as well. So this is actually the time when your child comes home, ask them about their day, and you help. You can try help them to process their emotions. That's the time where they feel comfortable, and that's the time where they feel comfortable to share as well. So, I mean, honestly, they are comfortable at home. It is really the time where you can actually connect with your child and to understand how they're feeling. And you can be the one to help guide them and to help process their feelings for them instead. So these are all really good opportunities to actually discuss what they see physically, what they feel emotionally, and what they experience socially. So I'm sure because your child is going heading over to primary one, you might be like, oh, what should I do or how can I help my child? So Miss Jacqueline will actually talk about some practical tips that you can do at home to help your child's transition into primary one. So Miss Jacqueline.
Thank you, Kristen. You know, when you were sharing about the emotional aspects of going into primary one and even the social part. I mean, I myself as an adult, I am an introvert. So being going the first day into anything, even in a new workplace or I don't know, just a new experience is already very anxiety inducing.
Mhm.
So what more a 6, 7-year-old child going into primary one and experiencing all these changes? Okay, so I'm very glad that all of you are here today because I'm going to share with you some helpful tips that you might be able to use now so that your 6-year-old will be ready to transit very smoothly into primary school. Okay, so with all that Chrisanne has shared, maybe parents, let me know by typing in the chat one area you'd like to help your child in right now. Maybe tomorrow, maybe at the end of this week. Would you like to help your child by supporting them emotionally? Maybe you can type emotions in the chat. Or would you like to be able to support them physically? Type physical in the chat. Or would you like to know more about how you can support your child socially? You can type social in the chat. Okay, so you can type emotional, physical, or social in the chat. So based on your response, maybe I'll share more things about the areas that you are more concerned with.
Okay, I see emotion, I see social.
Okay, just waiting for a few more
Yeah.
responses. Okay, so let me just share with you a little bit about what I'll be talking about. For emotional support, we'll talk about how to get your child to share their feelings, and then maybe just a tip of two about how they can manage their anxiety. And then for physical support, what are the motor skills that they might need to develop to be able to cope well in primary school, how to practice focusing and having a very good sleep routine. And for the social side, how they can make new friends and maybe manage bullying in school.
Yeah, I see a few social. I think that's a good one to focus on, yeah?
Yes. Okay, so thank you for your responses. Maybe now let's begin. Let's talk about the emotional support first, okay? So emotional development is really a very big thing for me because I did my master's in developmental psychology, and I can probably talk a lot about self-regulation, self-esteem, moral development for hours and hours. But in the interest of time today, I'm only just going to share with you 2 key strategies, okay? I don't know about most of you, but when I was growing up, I don't remember my parents talking to me about my feelings. Our conversations are how did you do for your math exam? How was CCA?
It
Did
sounds
you pay
very
attention?
Asian.
Yes. Did you pay attention in class? Have you finished your homework? But parents in this generation now I know it's very different, okay? So your 6-year-old at this point, right? They have moved beyond knowing the basic emotions of happy or saying that they're just sad. They are probably able to articulate feelings like, oh, I'm proud that I managed to accomplish this. I'm embarrassed. I'm disappointed, right? So what you can do to encourage your child to talk about feelings is I have some starter conversations you can have with your child. You can start with something fun or light, like drawing, and then you say, maybe you can say something like, okay, shall we do some drawing now? Shall we draw how you're feeling today? Or you can share your own feelings and then encourage them to talk about their feelings, like, oh, mommy's a little nervous about the webinar today that I had to present. How about you? Have you felt nervous about anything recently? Or something like reflecting what you notice in them. You see that they're quiet. So you can say something like, I noticed you seem quiet today. Is there something on your mind? Okay, so by having these starter conversations, it is not it is specific, but it's also a very open-ended kind of question where your child will be able to share openly about their feelings. And also to manage their anxiety, maybe your child might have experiment with coping strategies like taking deep breaths, blowing candles, opening up 5 fingers, blowing candles when they're feeling anxious, maybe squeezing a stress ball, or maybe you can teach them to seek help from a teacher, okay, or a trusted adult in school. Also, some ways that you can help your child manage their anxiety is to help them practice positive talk, like they can say things. If they face challenges, they can say something like, "Oh, actually, I can do this." I have the skills to do this. I can manage this on my own. Okay, so equipping your children with positive self-talk will help them to manage any anxiety that they might be feeling when they're alone, especially in a new environment. Let's move on to the next point. Okay, so another way that you can support your child is physically. So let's think about what skills that your child has now. Is your child able to use a pair of scissors to cut paper? Can he or she form shapes with simple shapes with Play-Doh? Can he or she draw simple shapes just using a pencil and tracing or drawing on a piece of paper? So why physical skills are important is because, you know, it really supports a wide range of learning experiences, and it enables your child to fully engage in the school environment. Because if they are able to if they have good motor skills, right, it enables them to handle physical tasks with confidence, and it also builds a good foundation for academic and social success.
Mm.
So not just fine motor skills with cutting and writing, but gross motor skills, which are using the big muscles, are just as important. So what you can do now with your child are simple activities to help them develop big movements like running, like skipping rope, like playing hopscotch. You know, when I say play hopscotch, I feel like I'm revealing my age. Kristen, I don't know about you. Did you play hopscotch when you were in primary school?
Yes.
Yes, you did.
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
I thought it's like
It's the popular game in school.
okay. I thought it was like a past
You
generation.
need to book.
Oh, is it? You need to book.
Yeah. Whoever's there first, they will get the card first.
I see. I remember it's a very popular activity to do during recess time.
Yes.
I would think more for girls.
More for girls? Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
for boys, maybe. Yeah,
Just
monkey bars,
flying.
monkey bars.
Oh, yeah, monkey bars. Yes.
Catching.
Yeah,
Catching,
so
yeah.
you see, doing activities like that will
Yep.
help your child also in the social area because,
Mm.
yeah, then they would be able to play with friends. Yeah. So another thing besides motor skills would be practice focusing, because when they transit from a preschool to the primary school, you know, at primary school they are expected to sit long hours in the classroom.
Yep.
They have to they cannot be moving around in the classroom. They cannot be taking too many breaks. So one thing that you can help your child through practice focusing is to definitely to be able to sit down and play a board game. They could be sitting down and fixing a jigsaw puzzle.
Mm.
Okay, so we start with small activities and slowly prolong the duration of the activity. So this would help them in focusing for longer periods of time.
Yeah, I like using fixing Lego. I think that's good too, right?
Yes,
Mm.
yes.
Yeah. Mm.
Yeah. And then another thing to complement focusing and attention would to have a very good sleep routine. Okay, so yeah, to be able to focus, I think sufficient sleep is important. And okay, at this point, I think I want to ask parents, for your 6 or coming 7-year-old child, how many hours of sleep do you think they need at this point and when they start going to school? Okay,
Mm.
so a 6 to 7-year-old.
You know what? I think I'll launch a poll here. Let's see what the responses are. All right. Okay. So yeah, as you can see up there, right?
Mm.
Please respond again. How many hours of sleep do you think your child needs?
Is it 10 to 13? Do you think it's
Okay.
9 to 12? Or do you think
Mm.
it's 8 to 10?
Mm. Okay, we've got answers for each option, but most of our attendees today, they think 9 to 12 hours. It's about 80% of you think it's 9 to 12 hours. Yeah, okay. Let me just leave it on for a few more seconds. Yeah, but I think it's clear that 9 to 12 is the popular choice here.
Mm,
Let me end the poll right now.
okay.
Yeah. What do you
Okay.
think?
Me? I think
Yeah.
it's I think it's 9 to 12. How about Christian?
Okay. Okay.
I would think 9 to 12 as well.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
let's see. Okay, let's see. I have a chart here where we
Mm.
have the number of hours of sleep recommended for different
Okay.
age groups. So at preschool, of course, they would need longer duration of sleep, right? 10 to 13 hours. But when they start
Uh,
going to school, primary school, it's actually shorter. So 9 to 12 hours of sleep is sufficient. And why
mm.
do we need to know this? Because you need to start having a proper bedtime routine, setting the bedtime early. So practice sleeping at the time that would allow them to have sufficient sleep so that they are able to wake up the next morning feeling refreshed, and when they go to school they would have the energy and yeah the ability to focus in class in school. So I think you should already know by now that most primary schools would have their assembly time around 7:15 a.m. and schools are quite strict on being punctual, unlike the preschools. And then you need to factor in your travel time, factor in your time taken to get ready in the
Yeah.
morning. So you got to plan sufficient time to get ready and try to avoid rushing because starting the day right really gives your kids the energy and the focus and excitement to have a great day of learning. Okay, oops, I went too far here. Okay, so now that I've shared with you the strategies that you can use to support your child physically, socially, and emotionally, let's take some time to consolidate our thoughts, okay? And then maybe share with me by typing in the chat one strategy that you might want to implement with your child, maybe this week. Okay, so could it be that you want to start training them to focus on an activity,
Mm.
or maybe you want to start talking to your child about their
Mm.
feelings, or do you want to help them develop their fine motor skills? Yeah, so maybe just share with me in the chat one thing that you might like to try out this week with your child.
Yeah, I think these strategies are pretty easy to start, but I suppose the question is whether we make the time to do these things. Yeah.
Yeah, so we
Yeah.
start small. We start
Yeah.
with just maybe one thing and slowly
Mm.
build from there. Help them develop the skills that they need.
Okay, let's see. Okay. So, yep. Uh, I like the one this attendee who says starting to do puzzles. I think that's good. That's good. This is a good one as well. Buying meals on her own. Yeah, that's
Mm,
good. That's good. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah. In fact, in once they get into primary one, usually they have a buddy, an older student to kind of like bring them around the school the first couple of days. Then after that, they're really on their own. So it's good
yes.
to start getting them to be more independent, right from now, right? That's great. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that because it's also there are some more strategies that I'm actually going to share later, and then
Mm.
that's buying food on their own is one of them.
Okay.
Okay, so maybe I'll continue on to the next part. So I want to talk about this important skill that we should help to equip our children with, because this skill is something that we need even as adults to thrive in our everyday life, for your child to thrive in school. I think you might have seen this skill on the next page. Okay, so what I want to talk about is executive function.
Mm.
And executive function is really a very broad term, but I want to just focus on these three specific areas, which is planning and organization skills, time management, and also task initiation. Okay, so for planning and organization, um, maybe I'll share with you just these four very simple habits that you can inculcate in your child
Mm.
Before they even start school, what you can do with your child is to give them the responsibility of packing their own bags. And to do this, you can teach your child to maybe read a simple timetable, and then what to expect. Maybe the next day, they need to see what subjects do I have the next day? What are the books that I need to pack for these subjects? You can guide your child in checking so they will have like a home journal where they write down their homework, maybe guide them in checking what needs to be submitted for homework and make sure that's in their bag. You can teach them to organize their bags, like where would the pencil case go? Where would my water bottle go? Where do I put the bigger and thicker books? I put them in the back. Where do the thinner and smaller books go? You pack them in the front. And you can start this habit now. They're not going to primary school yet, but you can start them out by packing their bags for when they go for a school excursion, you go for a family outing. Yeah, you can, and then beyond just packing their bags, like just now, I think someone shared about pocket money, right? What you can do is to, you can split up, or you assign an amount of money that you want to give your child in a week, and then you split it up according to the days, and then you put it, separately in like you put separately in a box, and then which has sections like a pill box. A pill box has 7 days, right? You can put maybe $2 in each section, each compartment, and then you tell your child, okay, if you want to buy something, then you need to retrieve that pocket money on your own every day, but you can only take one $2 note each day. And then train your child to, be able to retrieve and pack that money into their bags on their own. Okay. The next skill that I want to talk about is time management. So having very good time management sounds like a very adult thing to do, but actually children are able to follow a schedule. To make it simple for them, it could be a visual schedule where they see pictures and then they know what to expect, and how to keep track of what goes on in their day. So to complement this, children do just only need to know how to follow a schedule, but it would help for them to know the concept of time. So for example, what 10 minutes feels like, or what an hour feels like. Okay, you can help your child with real life activities. Like for example, you say, we're going to walk to the bus stop. It will take us about 10 minutes to walk to the bus stop. Or something like, your favorite movie. That movie is about 1 hour and 30 minutes long. Okay, so helping your child to understand the concept of time. And also another thing would be setting very good routines, like a morning routine or a bedtime routine, as this will help them to know the sequence of events. So for example, in the morning, you wake up, you brush your teeth, you wash your face, you change into a uniform, you have breakfast, and then we go to school. So having a very solid routine will give them this sense of security, because they know what is going to happen at certain times of the day. Okay. Let's move on to task initiation. Okay, this is just a fancy word for just get started, right? I think a lot of us, even as adults, we procrastinate things. So I'm sure a child, they just want to play. It's very difficult to get them to start doing work. So instead of saying, hey, go and do your homework now.
Yeah.
You break it down into smaller conquerable tasks. Okay, you have a checklist, and these tasks would look like, okay, number 1, finish math workbook, page 10 to 15. Second task, read chapter 5 of your storybook. And then it's just small little tasks like that where they can tick off as they complete each task. Or, you just paste stickers. Oh, I'm done already. I paste a sticker for each task completed. Okay, so having these checklists hopefully will get your child motivated to want to start accomplishing or finishing what they have to do. for the day. Okay. Okay, so I've shared quite a bit about these executive function skills. Maybe now you can tell me what's one strategy that you think you might be able to try out with your child this week. Okay, could it be just making a simple checklist for them to tick off with bite-sized conquerable tasks? Or would it be setting a visual schedule to help them track what they need to get done throughout the day? Or would it be packing a bag with your child? Okay, just type in the chat. Just one strategy that you would like to try out with your child this week.
Okay, so right. So I see, yep. Making checklists. I think that's a good idea, and I think some of you are gonna do that. I think the idea of checklist is really good because once I think everyone has that same feeling, right? Once you check off something, it's like sense of accomplishment.
Yes.
Give yourself a little pat on the back, that kind of feeling. So I think even for kids, yeah, they'll love it. And it's better if like you use like stickers and stuff because they love getting these things, right? Yeah. Yeah, making checklists. I think that's a good one. Yeah. Okay. Right. Okay. Thanks for your responses. Maybe we move on to the next part.
Okay.
Yeah, so Miss Jacqueline, you spoke quite a bit about non-academic readiness. Miss Chrisanne, maybe you can talk to us a little bit more about academic readiness?
Yes, okay. So, I mean, many of the parents here, they want to know
Mm.
if their child is P1 ready.
Yeah.
Are they up for the challenge when they hit P1? So that's what we are going to cover right now. So we are going to share about some tips and some things that you can look out for to see if your child is academically ready for primary one. So the first thing that I would like to cover would be like for English, here are 6 areas of the language learning. So to you, it might be so simple: listening, reading, speaking, writing.
Mm.
My child can do that. But then it's not just the surface level of just listening, reading, and speaking. We have to dive deeper down into whether they can understand, whether they can do it independently, whether they know what they're doing. And we also got to include vocabulary and grammar as well, because these are things that we use every single day. We speak in this language every single day. Do they actually know why do we use this word instead of that word? So these are things that we actually use to assess if your child is actually academically ready for primary one and whether they're ready for like the curriculum in primary one as well.
Uh,
So
you know what, Miss Chrisanne? Let's ask the parents what they think. All right. Which is the area they think their child needs the most more help in? Okay, let me launch another poll. I don't know. Today I'm launching lots of polls. Okay, let's pick an option here. Okay, so there's listening, reading, speaking, writing, grammar, vocabulary, or the last one, all of the above. So I think that's kind of like the magic answer sometimes, right? Yeah, choose the one you think your child needs most, help in, which area. Okay, I see quite an even spread, I think. Yeah, yeah. Mm. Oh, okay. It's pretty even. It's pretty even. Um, Yeah, listening, reading, all, you have 11%, 20%. Okay, the one that is 0% is speaking, and I think I have an idea why.
yeah, definitely.
Probably, the child speaks a lot at home, right? You know what? That might be true. Sometimes they're a bit different in school though. Okay, so that's a common something that I hear a lot from parents, like how they're very different at home than they are in school. Okay, but fair enough. All of the above, yeah. Okay, yeah. Looks like it's quite an even spread. Okay, I'm just gonna end the poll right now. Right. Okay. Yes, Miss Chrisanne, please continue.
Yes, so so the poll is very even, and none
Mm,
of the parents actually chose speaking because
mm,
I assume that most of us actually speak English at home.
mm.
So, however, let's just talk about some of these areas that we can actually focus on and what can we do at home to help your child at home as well to make sure and to help them to be ready for primary one. So the first thing I'd like to cover will be listening. So listening attentively for a sustained period, for a long period of time without them losing their focus is actually very difficult for children at the age of 6 or 7 because they get easily distracted, they lose their focus easily. So getting them to listen attentively for maybe like take it as 30 minutes, it's actually a very challenging task for them because distractions are everywhere. So getting them to listen for a long period of time is actually something that can be, I would say, practice, or it's like a habit over time. So sometimes you just give them like a short information, get them to remember it, get them once they get the hang of it, you have long information, a longer, maybe like a longer story, and to see if they actually understand what they have been listening for the past like maybe 10, 15 minutes. These are all things that you can do and things you can observe to see whether your child is actually listening and they actually understand. So listening doesn't just mean listening to a story. It's also about their letter sounds, their sight words, their vocabulary words, and whether they're speaking too fast, things like this. These are all how they speak and whether they can listen to themselves and listen to how we speak as well. So this also help us to know if whether they actually understand the conversations that we are having among us. So to see if they can appropriately respond to what we ask or appropriately respond to what was mentioned earlier on. Next would be also, we will also share about the promote active listening. So we want them to always process what is going into their minds. So we ask open-ended questions about stories or shows. So simple things like maybe the Three Little Pigs and the Big Bad Wolf. So we can ask them like, how did the wolf feel at the very end? How do you know that? So these are really good ways to actually understand if they to see if they understand what they just read and if they actually listen carefully to some of the contextual clues that were mentioned in the story. And you actually get them to discuss the main points of the story, like why did the Big Bad Wolf do this, or why did the pigs do this? So these are actually ways that we can see how they feel and what they think about the different stories that they are exposed to, even movies as well. For example, Frozen. I'm pretty sure like many of the students can talk about Frozen or Inside Out. These are things that we can actually avenues that we can use to understand them better. And then so in our curriculum, right, we actually get them to discuss and share their opinions a lot to see if they actually understood what was actually taught in class and they actually have a different idea compared to like other students. So we want them to have a unique idea and we want them to see if they actually listen to the information that was shared in class as well. Next will be reading. So we want them to read as fluently as possible. So there's definitely words that they will not be able to recognize at first glance. So we want them to be able to blend the sounds. They can recognize the words, use contextual clues to try to understand what's the meaning of that word so that they can understand what they are reading as well. So we want them to read closely at both literal and inferential levels by using their prior knowledge, contextual clues, comprehension skills. What strategies do they have to answer this question? So it's really about getting them to know what they are reading instead of just focusing on the words itself. Because many students, they spend so much time trying to recognize the words, trying to read the words. They don't actually know what they are reading. So that's why usually it's good to actually build their confidence in reading. So it's much easier for them to understand what does the text mean and what are they trying to convey in that text. So moving on, we can actually use games to actually get them to build their foundation in reading, for example, sight words. So I will suggest to parents that you can make flashcards, you can play a game with them. So for example, a game of step. So we can use that as a fun game to actually get them to be interested, to learn more words. And then some of my parents actually say that they form sentences with their child to revise on their sight words. So sight words are words that you can't really blend, but you see them all the time. So these are words that it's very important to help them form proper sentences, to get them to read fluently. So next, also a reading habit. So I always encourage parents to read as much as possible at home because it helps their creativity, it increases their exposure and practice of blending, their sight words, and it improves fluency. That's definitely one of them. And also it just helps them to be exposed to more genres of stories, which helps them with their composition writing next time. And also active reading, you try to get them to understand what is going on in the book. So you ask questions about the story to see if they know what they're reading. We actually encourage them to talk about different opinions, like the different opinions they may have about the story as well. So this helps with comprehension that we have in like maybe in P1 and also in K2, which we are doing right now. So to see if they understand what the text is saying, and we also have questions for them to infer, for them to look for clues in a passage. So these are things that we definitely have to look out for to see if they are ready for P1. Next will be speaking. So this may not be much of a concern because we speak the language at home. So make sure like your child speaks fluently at home, accurately in pronunciation, and we actually have to speak with confidence and coherence as well, because we want them to speak and to express themselves. We want to understand them as well. So as much as possible, we try to make sure they speak in proper sentences so that they can actually express themselves better, so that we can understand them better. So a few ways, which is to read aloud, role play. So you can get them to read stories out aloud. So if there are some words that they don't know how to read, you can help them, guide them along, get them to voice out the letter sounds, help them with their blending. So you can actually see if they read with emotions, to see if they pronounce the word correctly. And we can play some games at the same time to actually get them to build their confidence in speaking. So for example, this is a short picture of like our passage that we can read in our comprehension activities. Next question of the day, we can ask them a simple question, like for example, if they love pets a lot. Oh, why do you think this dog likes to play in the mud? Things like this. So we get them to we give them topics that they're interested in so that they won't lose their focus as well. All right, next will be writing. So writing wise, it's more practice. So you want them to write neatly and coherently so that teachers who mark their work can understand what they're writing. We also want them to write appropriate ideas according to the task. We don't want the question to be asking A and the answering Q, things like this. We want them to answer what the question is asking, and also making sure that they stay within the lines, they follow the different writing rules. So one suggestion I have is to use the writing guides. So the dotted lines, these are very, very good ways to actually get them to write within the space and to get them to write appropriately with their letters, and to make sure that it's neat and tidy so that the teachers can understand what they're writing, they themselves understand what they're writing as well. So some handwriting tips that I have, which is the line paper, the guiding lines that we usually provide in class. Also, you get them to have a proper sitting position, sitting posture while they write, because having a proper sitting posture gets them more motivated. They won't feel tired as easily, and they can last a longer period of time writing, because in primary school they start writing composition, which is a very, very lengthy process for them to get used to. So having proper sitting position is very important as well. Journaling, writing about their day, get them to write something interesting about their day. These are very, very good ways to actually get them interested and to get them motivated to write and share. And you get to know what they did in the day as well. Story mapping is more of like to help with composition. So the next time when they actually have a chance to write composition, they get to flow their story well. It doesn't go out of topic that easily. So you get them to know what's the beginning, middle, and the end so that they know exactly what should follow after the other. Okay, next will be dictation. Get them to spell simple words, like to reinforce their phonics concept, sight word spelling. Get them to decode the word so that they can find out what letters they had is in a word. So these are just to build their independence next time when they go to primary 1, because spelling is a huge I would say a challenge, because they are not so independent in preschool yet. So once they hit P1, this is actually something that they will face a lot next time. So it fosters self-assurance, independence, and they get to decode the words on their own, so they don't have to rely on somebody standing there the whole time when they are writing. Okay, next will be grammar. So we have to apply knowledge to form meaningful sentences, and we need to use grammatical knowledge to get them to actually share their ideas, to share their opinions. If not, again, nobody would actually understand them. So we get them to answer in complete sentences using the proper grammar techniques. So if a child actually makes a grammar mistake, just gently correct them. Say like, oh, do you think this is right? Let's see how else can we say it instead of saying, no, this is wrong. Because we want to encourage them instead of making them afraid of trying. So really by saying it gently, putting it nicely is a very good way to actually motivate them to do better and to spot their own mistakes. And also games is a very good way to actually get them interested. So you make learning grammar rules fun. So this is something we have, Snakes and Ladders. We play this game. They love it. They get very excited when they see this in the journals. And they will always volunteer to be the first to participate in the game. So games is really a very good way to get them interested and motivated and focused. So last would be vocabulary. So having a very rich vocabulary knowledge helps them with expressing their ideas and opinions, which they definitely need at this age because they have so many ideas in them. They need to know how to express it. They want to be understood. So using appropriate vocabulary, they have to use appropriate vocabulary depending on the context. You can't use the same word in every single context. So them understanding the meaning of the word is very important. So simple things like introducing them a new word every single day or every single week gets their vocabulary bank working. So you add a new word every day or every week, gets them to know, okay, this is a new word that I learned today, and they will keep talking about it for like the longest time ever. So you can share a new simple word and maybe just go online, just share like the meaning of the word. It's a very good way to actually incorporate new vocabulary into their vocabulary bank. And also vocabulary journal. So you get a book, write down the word, write down the meaning, and how can you use it. These are all ways that you can get them to learn new meanings of new words. So this is something we have in our current curriculum where we have our vocabulary in context. We give them a new word. Is it a noun, verb, or adjective? We give them an example, synonyms, and what does the word mean. So this is actually a very good way for them to practice as well. So this is actually taken from MOE's website. So it's the expectations that we have. So as you can see, we want them to communicate, we want them to read, and we also want them to explore the real world, not just confine them within the four walls of the classroom and also the book. We want them to ask questions. We want them to explore. We want them to experiment. We want them to try. So it's not just about writing, reading, and speaking. We also want them to have the want to learn, the want to know more about what is outside of these four walls of this classroom. So we wanted to ask questions. So questions are always encouraged so that we know what they want to know and we can dive deeper into that. So these are some of the things that you can actually take note of and you can actually focus on and work on at home during your free time with your child. So for math, Miss Jacqueline, do you want to share some tips you have as well?
Yes, thank you, Kristen. Okay, so that's so much for English language. For math, okay, this is taken from the MOE website. Okay, there are three main strands. Okay, in the math for primary one, but under these main strands, there are sub strands which I will talk about later on. Maybe here we might want to ask the parents which area do you think your child would need more help in?
Oh, okay. Right. That's a good question. Okay, I'm going to launch another poll here about that. Yeah, let me just launch it right now.
So is it whole numbers
Yeah. Okay.
to 100? Measurement would be measuring length, mass, volume. Geometry would be things like shapes, angles, and then the statistics would be graphs, like picture graphs, line graphs, bar graphs.
Okay. Right. Let's see. Okay, that's also all of the above. All of the above, right? Yeah, I see quite a few on that. Whole numbers, okay, geometry, statistics. You know, these terms sound so adult. Geometry,
do.
statistics.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, okay, I can see statistics is taking a lead now, 44%.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, let's just leave it on for a bit more. Let me see if everyone has gotten to the poll as well. Okay, it looks like statistics is the main one, followed by all of the above. Okay, let me end the poll right now. Okay.
Okay, so let's take a deeper look into what these strands are about. Okay, so you can find this on the MOE website if you search for the math syllabus. And this is what's covered under whole numbers at the P1 level. So we see numbers up to 100, but don't worry, this is what they need to know by the end of primary one. So at the start, they will start off with numbers up to 10, and then 20, 50, and then 100. Okay, but I know in most preschools, they would, the K2 students would have been exposed to counting already. They would do simple addition and subtraction. Multiplication and division in terms of knowing what groups of are and how to split a total number into equal groups. And then with money, they learn up to $1 and cents up to $1. So different combinations of 10 cents, 20 cents, 50 cents to make $1, and different combinations of notes to make $100. Okay, so how can you now support your child to develop that number sense, to be able to understand and to apply their knowledge of whole numbers? One thing is going shopping. So earlier a parent mentioned how you can help your child now to be able to buy things at let's say a supermarket, or when they order food at the restaurant, how they can use money. So it has to be, of course, now we start with simple whole numbers, right? We don't go into the dollars and cents. Okay, we can start with simple dollars, and you can give your child a $10 note. They purchase something that's $2, and then you can ask them, okay, if I give the cashier $10, how much change would I receive? Okay, so they need to know terms like change, how much money I'm giving, and how much money I will get back. Okay, another thing that you can help your child now is to be able to do rational counting. What I mean by rational counting is, can they do one-to-one correspondence of counting? Not just be able to say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but to be able to know that this is 1, this is 2, this is 3, this is 4, this is 5. Okay, well, another helpful tool that I think children should know at this point is to be able to stabilize. And that is, for example, if they see a domino with 5 dots on it, can they tell it is 5 without counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? Can they look at it at one glance and know, okay, this is number 5? You can do this with dice as well, right? You just throw a dice and then you see that the number there, and then can they tell you the number immediately? So I think playing board games, like it for the English language, right? Playing board games really helps, even with math as well, right? They are able to do rational counting. They're able to take turns with their friends, or if you play with your family. Okay, so we move on to measurement and geometry. So now measurement, we're talking about measuring length using the unit terms like centimeters, meters, using a ruler to be able to measure accurately. Measurement could also be time, so telling time to 5 minutes, knowing when to use AM and when to use PM. And for geometry, we are just at the P1 level, we're just talking about 2D shapes. Simple shapes like rectangles, squares, triangles, circles. Are they able to name them and be able to spell these names as well? Okay, so how can we support our child to be able to understand the topic on measurement and geometry is through acquiring practical experience in our everyday life. Like earlier on when I was talking about the executive function skills, how to have that sense of time, knowing what 10 minutes is, knowing what 1 hour is, okay? So having that sense of time is an important skill to have now. Does your child know how to use measuring tools, or what tools to use to measure length, for example? Do they know you can use a ruler, a measuring tape? How would you measure mass? Do you know that you can use a measuring scale to measure? And also the units of measurement. So if I were to measure someone's height, would I use kilograms? Would I use milliliters? Or would I use meters and centimeters? Okay, so these are useful things that your child should be able to know by now. Okay, so we move on to statistics, and yeah, I know a lot of parents were worried about this area, but at the primary one level, it's very pictorial. Picture graphs are just numbers, but being represented in pictures. Okay, so I'll show you. I don't know if I have an example. I think I have an example later of what a picture graph would look like. Okay, so to develop skills to be able to answer statistics questions, we can relate them to real life scenarios. Like, for example, they can do a simple data collection, like maybe of their books at home. How many Mr. Men books do you have? You can, for example, count like the number of, when you buy apples in a bag, and then you ask, oh, how many apples do we have left in the bag? Something like simple like this, okay? And then if you see graphs around you, like when you read a newspaper, for example, if you see a poster up in an advertisement and you see a graph there, we can talk about the graph and how we can interpret the information on the graph. Okay, also using language to be able to interpret the information, words like most. If you see a graph and then and it shows you like the different numbers of how many children, like for example in a class, how many children like apples, how many children like oranges, how many children like lemons, then we would ask, for example, what is the most number of children who like, what is the fruit that the children like the most? What is the fruit that the children like the least? Okay, so using language like most, least, more than, comparison words like more than, greater than, less than, and fewer than. Okay, because these are words that would be used in the questions on statistics. Okay, so I was talking about math language. There are a lot of terms in the math language that your child would need to know. Words like sum and difference. Okay, so sum is adding numbers together. The difference would be comparing two numbers, you subtract them, and then you get the difference. So as I was saying just now, comparison words are very important as well. Knowing what groups of mean. So does your child know that in this picture, it shows 4 groups of 5 apples and not 5 groups of 4 apples? Do they know the difference? Okay. And then what equal sharing means, because equal sharing is understanding what division means. Okay, so at the P1 level, they will still be presented with pictures with simple word problems. Would they be able to know that if they are presented with this picture, they have to split up the macarons into 5 groups and not put 5 macarons into each group? Okay. Okay, so over here at the Eton Academy, how we can support your child in mathematics is through using the concrete, pictorial, and abstract approach. So what this is basically is when we say concrete, we are using manipulatives, things that your child can feel, can touch, and move around so that they can understand mathematical concepts. So in this case, it would be maybe comparing a total number of cupcakes, right? And then how we can take away certain cupcakes, and then you'll have some cupcakes left, okay, by using manipulatives. And then when we move on to pictorial, it will be just pictures, using pictures to translate what we did with the manipulatives. And then from this pictorial representation, we will then move on to an abstract representation like a model. Okay, so using bars of different lengths. Okay, so this abstract will later lead on to model drawing, okay, which is a very important skill that your child will need to know when they solve word problems later on. Okay, and then also after acquiring the basic computational skills, we also move on to how to represent pictures into words, and also later on equations, how we use equations to represent our answers. And then also in our curriculum, we look at the many different question forms. For example, the multiple choice. Very interestingly, when students do multiple choice for the first time in primary school, they always tend to write down the answer. Instead of writing 1, 2, 3, 4 in the brackets, they always tend to write the answer that they see into the brackets. So this is like a skill that they will need to learn and practice to be able to write the option number instead. Okay, and then you'll see short answer questions, and then after that move on to longer questions like word problems and how to present the answers correctly.
Mm.
Okay, I've come to the end of the presentation.
Right. Thank you so much, Ms. Jacqueline. Okay, so right now, if there are any questions, please feel free to type it into the chat or the Q&A tab there. We'll try to answer your questions right now. Okay, so please type in your questions if there are any. Okay. In the meantime, perhaps we can just talk about what the promo we have in the next slide. Okay, so because everyone is here this evening, we're offering this very special sign up for a trial class and you get a second trial class for free. Okay, so if you would like to try the Eton Academy out, just come for a trial. If you sign up for one, you get the second one for free, but of course you need to quote the promo code, which is webinar, right? So just scan the quick response code right there and then quote that promo code webinar. Okay, so you can just have a look at the different schedules we have at our different centers, and please feel free to do that so that you can give your let your child have a try at one of our classes, be it English or maths, if it's for EK2 or for primary 1, for kindergarten or for primary 1, sorry. Yeah. Okay, all right. So let me just have a look at the questions. Let me see. Okay, it looks like there aren't any questions. So I guess, well, hopefully our attendees learned something this evening. Lots of takeaways, I think, lots of practical tips, quick practical tips that they can start using already. So once more, I'd like to thank Ms. Chrisanne and Ms. Jacqueline for sharing their expertise and all their wonderful practical tips as well. Okay. So yeah, if there are no questions, thank you very much for attending this evening's webinar, and yeah, have a good evening ahead, and I hope to see you and your child at one of our centers soon. All right. Thank you very much. Okay. Good night. Bye. Okay, I think that's all. Yeah. All right. Thanks, guys. See you guys soon. All right. Bye.
Thank you.
As
Bye-bye.
Bye.
well.
Bye.
So